cost, and on the other side, ease of doing business with all these security issues which are taking place. And internationally now, it's not only India but even internationally, where WCO, World Customs Organization, is also working on this aspect, and Fiat has an international body which is also coordinated with the freight forwarders associations, and they are regularly running the institutes programs, as you regularly put up in our news also. How it has become so challenging, because here the aspect comes of internal and external, where internal is where we can take care within our organization or which is within our control. And when it comes to external, where we are depending on the outsourcing or the third vendor, so this is the major effect which we need to take challenges, how the process is being into place. Here what I find, when we talk about challenges, we have infrastructure issues, we have IT issues, and adaptation is a secondary, which is again a challenging, because all the security aspects or the security systems come at a very high value. So the business challenges, what is left out, whether are we ready, are the business people ready to adapt these technologies at that level. So this is what a balancing figure is required when we talk about the security aspect, because even if you talk at international level, even our ports, since long time we are talking only about the scanners type, which is a huge cost. Even the ports, like the government bodies, are not able to put up such scanners which can move the cargo very fast from the ports, and this is congesting and piling up to the dwell time and transaction cost. So when we are talking from the government aspect itself, where does the private organization and small organization stands? In India we have a transport sector which is a very unorganized sector in fact. When it is unorganized sector, it is beyond the control of anybody. Forget about we controlling the transporters, but transporters themselves don't have the control on their drivers and the cleaners. It is up to that aspect. On the other part, we have the RTOs where it is not regulated in the fashion where the security aspects are taken into consideration before the licensing to the drivers and all that. So this whole system, when we are taking into the security aspect of the whole supply chain, the whole system has to be tightened, has to be regulated. Tightened in the sense there should be a model cost system which should be as operating processes should be defined. So this is where we lack on the education, the training system, the skill development, the training from every developer. See, in Europe and all, what we see, what we experience, there are norms which are being there for all the drivers. How many hours he can drive, what is the time he should take a rest, how much time the truck can run on the road, what are the reporting times and where they have to be found. The GPS is controlled by the government. A country like Iran, even they have these systems implemented. But here, even if we talk about GPS within the organization also, there is a challenge. Where is the question of the third vendor who is going to monitor this system? So such things which are very important in the whole supply chain. We have to first discipline ourselves or discipline the organization within the industry, and we are just a stakeholders who will be a service provider. Finally, it is because the initiative of government of converting from ACP to AEO, authorized economic operator. This is a whole system which we are trying to bring out. The standard operating process for everybody organization to note down, to make down the points of the documented each and every aspect what is being followed. They are not willing to put you have to have this system, you have to put invest in infrastructure, but at least start document where you can control the things within your organization, internally, externally. No problem, you may make a mistake, there is a possibility, but what the corrective measures you are taking from time to time. So this compilation has to go from time to time, each and every time. Then we can come out with some systems, standard operating, because the same system which I may be operating may not be comfortable for others. Everybody may have their own individual system, but there can be a standard operating procedure which can be brought down, which we are lacking on that. And this is what we find is a near of an hour today.
Let me just preface my comments with one very significant one small take. I spent around 14 years of my life as a consultant for risk management. As a consultant for risk management, but for financial services system, I spent 4 years creating models. I spent 3 years validating models, and then I decided that I will take a shift towards the manufacturing sector, where the risks are far more prevalent and far more concrete than the financial services sector. I come from that kind of a background, sir. When I look at the system and when I look at supply chain, we talked about it as chain, we talked about it as web. Essentially, it is everything and everyone from the raw material stage to the end consumer, everything that happens in between forms your supply chain. And because of the interdependencies within the chain, any problem or anything that is not to the standard can cause a cascading effect down the line. And therefore, as a person, when I start looking at the chain, and I look at it from outside, I am not as closely involved within the chain, but I keep looking at it from a perspective which is slightly removed, I find something that's very, very significant. That we do not, talk to each other. Our biggest problem, we never pick up the phone and say, there has been a problem. And when you do not say that, you kind of complicate the issues within the system. Each stakeholder within the system has got a role to play, and that particular role, if it is not played to what it should be, can affect the performance of the next person down the line. This linkage is something that we don't look at it. Every individual organization within the supply chain operates only for his or her own benefit. Remember, the profits that every individual stakeholder within a supply chain makes is paid for by one person, which is a consumer. All the profits of the individual entities of the supply chain come from that one person, the consumer. What we should be looking at is how can I maximize that amount that is available for the chain to distribute. Instead, when we focus so closely on profits of our own selves, we set ourselves up for disaster, because what is good for me as an entity in the supply chain is not good for you, sir. So when I try to maximize my profit, you have to suffer, and the end that chain suffers. So ecosystem becomes a lot more important, and as individuals within the ecosystem, unless we learn to complete the picture, join the dots, we will not be able to understand the impact of any one of our actions on the ecosystem. Unfortunately, because of profit motives within organizations, we are compartmentalized. And once we start, and there are methods by which this information can be shared. Information technology is going to be that powerful. In fact, I'm not very sure if you're today in Germany they're talking about Industry 4.0. Convergence of manufacturing and IT to create better products. In technology world, we call something called SMAC, which is essentially social mobility, cloud, analytics. I will add Internet of Things to it. Visibility, ability to track, trace, everything is going to be there. Data amounts is going to be humongous, much more than what we can. It is not data which is going to be a problem, but our ability to organize the data and make sense of the data. We need to look at these issues as individual players and say, how within my own control can I maximize what is happening within this and pass this information along, adding whatever bit I want, but never removing anything from it. There are technologies available today, sir. There's something which I'm experimenting with, I'm trying to write about it. There's something called technology, again, I borrow it from the financial services industry, called it's called the blockchain. If you bring in blockchain technology into supply chain, your entire thing of traceability right from raw material to the end consumer, it is a foolproof 100%. You cannot do anything. You cannot fraudulently insert a record into a blockchain. Technologies are available. This is cheap technologies available across the board. What we need as individuals is the ability to keep an open mind, adapt the technology, adopt those processes, and think about the next person in the line. If we do not think about the next person in the line, no amount of stakeholder doing things individually can reduce the risk within the supply chain. Our actions today are actually increasing the risk in the supply chain by not looking at the others in the chain. So my humble request to people within the chain is to look at the other individuals in the chain and try to work together, collaborate to reduce risk in the supply chain. That should go a long way in addressing the ecosystem problems.
Just one small comment here. See, first of all, I am trying to look at the economy as a whole, from an agrarian to manufacturing to services sector. There are almost 60% services sector. Services sector is nothing but the supply chain in inverted commas. The entire ecosystem, whether it's financial or supply chain or whatever, it relies on only two things. One is information, the other is communication. Interestingly, information is all technology, data, synchronization and things like that. The moment the communication is something slightly more than information, because information as absorbed by the other fellow is what you are communicating to him. And therefore the question of not only the technology but also the way it is understood by the other, does it reach him? This is my problem, this is what I am trying to do, this is how I am tracing, this is how you are reaching. Today, sitting at home, I can buy things from Big Basket or Natural Basket or whatever. I don't go to the shops. So to that extent, I have become lazy. So in that process, are you giving me the correct information? Are you giving me correctly communicating what is there, what is not there? I feel we need to focus on information and communication, the difference between these two, and in particular, the services area, which is the biggest economic driver today. Otherwise, just manufacturing and agricultural product is not going to help. These two products in the sectors rely on the 60% sector. Please.
Hello, sorry. Mr. Chandrasekhar.
Yeah.
You said that 60% of the services, 60% of the GDP of India comes from services, and that is the biggest driver of the supply chain. Actually, manufacturing is a part of supply chain, agriculture is a supply chain, because without the agriculture, you wouldn't have transportation to the market, and you wouldn't have your big basket to buy from today. So actually, 100% of what we are doing today as a country involves the supply chain. Now, we've had speakers speaking out here for the past 4 hours or so. Everyone wants someone to blame. The biggest issue is that we are always blaming someone. The government is not doing this for us. Other countries are doing this, that. I've lived in Hong Kong for the last 3 years. I moved back to India 6 months ago. Now, Hong Kong is one of the most efficient places in the world. I lived in Germany before that. You would think that the Germans are very efficient. Actually, Hong Kong is more efficient. Now, they have a population of 8 million people. Bombay city has a population of 22.5 million people. That's 3 times the size of Hong Kong. India as a country is 1.3 billion people. When you want to make a change, you have to see how it affects 1.3 billion people. And implementing change on 1.3 billion people is a lot harder than one tiny little country called Singapore, who is so advanced, who's so efficient, who's got AEO, who's got TAPA, everything is TAPA certified. It's not possible to do it immediately. It's a stage-wise process. Now, why has China become more advanced today? Because they started before us. They were educated, they are driven, sorry to say this, they are driven by fear. India is not driven by fear. Indians are generally inherently lazy. They are the smartest people in the world, don't get me wrong. They can create wonders better than anyone else in the world. I am Indian, I am bloody damn proud to be Indian. But we are lazy. So, it all starts with the grassroots problem of education. What do we need to do in the next 20 years? We have to start today. That's how you're going to start eliminating risk in anything, in the supply chain, in your life, in your health. Why kids in Japan are taught about food and food habits from the very, very beginning. They are the country with the longest life expectancy. Americans don't get taught that. 67%, okay, this is really wrong coming from me, because 67% of the, 85% of American population is obese or overweight. They don't have education on food. So schools are teaching them. Today, we don't have so many institutes that are churning out supply chain professionals. It's not a sexy job. It's not a job, it's not an industry where it's bringing people in to come in and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to make, for myself, I'm going to make a lot of money, I'm going to have a great life. The world has changed. So today, in order to actually have a smooth supply chain, we need education. Education is required. We need to educate. Even as a stakeholder, I am handling pharmaceutical business. I am being pushed by my customers saying, you need to be GDP certified. Now, how many people in this room know what GDP means? Can you put your hand up? One person at the back, 2, 3. On the panel? GDP?
So it's not the financial GDP.
No, not GDP, not financial GDP. Not financial GDP, otherwise everyone's hands will go. It's called good distribution practices. It's created by the World Health Organization. It's a guideline. Now, for me, I have to deal with an unorganized sector of transporters for refrigerated vehicles in order to move my cargo. Now, I can only teach them. If I don't teach them, I have to do the job myself. I have to start my own transportation company if they're not willing to do it. So you have to give them an incentive. As he rightly said, it's not all about you. You have to create partnerships. We are not all islands. We are a link, we are a web, we are a chain. So this is what is important. The ecosystem is going to be driven by you and me as a partnership. Now, one thing I saw in the Indus Tower presentation is they had mentioned that we have got what, 95% payment. You have the payment that you are good paymasters, 95%. Today, when people think that, oh, I got 45 days credit and I paid him 45 days later after my credit period, I did something good for my company. Actually, you didn't. You actually ruined someone else's money supply chain. Even when you have the money, you ruin someone else's money supply chain. Supply chain is not only about goods and services and products. Eliminating risk, because next time the service provider is going to think, hey, if I know I'm going to get paid in 90 days, I'm not going to give him my best service. I don't care if the truck is open, if it's like that, because I know I'm going to get paid later. So we have to see every aspect of the supply chain, and this only comes through education and experience. If we want to be #1 country, we need to start doing it today and educate the next generation. That's why I'm trying to do it.
Chandrasekhar, any valuable input from all of you, from your fellow panelists. Point is regarding securing the supply chain cycle. Now there's a very, I will slightly go towards the exempt, the component of exempt transactions in the supply chain. Important point to be noted that government today, with the kind of thrust and focus which they have, has introduced this concept of AEOs, and they have revamped the entire AEO program for India. They've included companies, and most importantly, they've brought in this operating procedures which are laid down for each stakeholder in the process of the entire supply chain which is related to exempt transactions. It is very worthwhile to note that to bring that, and as rightly pointed out by Mr. Vazirani, we need to educate, and this is what we have embarked on from FFA and BCHA. We have started education seminars for people to elevate themselves to the level of AEO, because today if you are not AEO, right from custodians, I think GVK is also one of the custodians who is aspiring to become AEO. My friend Tushar Jani, who's having his own big warehouse, supply chain warehouse at Delhi airport. And each of them will cover the concept of track and trace also. GPS has been made mandatory. I would bit on tangent, but I would also like to take you to about 6 months back where the JNPT Port Trust was saddled with number of thefts and pilferages. Huge insurance claims were being lodged. We found that from port terminal, when the container was being shifted to the container freight station, there are 36 container freight stations in about 30 square kilometer area at Greenfield. The drivers, being drivers themselves, they were somehow privy to the information what goods were loaded in the containers, and the time taken from port terminal to CFSs, which takes around maximum 2 hours or 1 hour to transit, was taking 8 to 10 hours. Nobody knew. Keeping the seal intact of the containers, the goods were, the welding was tampered with, goods were taken off. And when the goods reached there, everybody, the train found that it was a big issue. JNPT Port Trust Chairman, Chief Commissioner Customs, Navashra Customs, everybody, all of us were scratching it. The simple solution came. All the trucks which were moving out from the port terminal and vice versa were fitted with a GPS. A majority of area now has been converted into CCTV because there was one condition which we was pressing upon. The local police commissioner did his bit, helped us out. He ensured that each container freight station had a CCTV, even outside the gate. Now that has reduced the pilferages by almost 80 to 85%. So with this track and the moment they found that this truck is waiting here, all the port terminals at JNPT are monitoring that. So that is how it brings about the change. Let's look about it. Even GVK, air cargo, air cargo is a place where the most valuable items are imported by air today. By bringing in CCTVs and monitoring systems, today we have found that pilferages are almost negligible. Earlier the insurance claims which were being lodged were huge amount of claims, about a couple of years back. So now that has been incorporated in AEO program. It is such an important document, a landmark document, I would say, in history of entire exit transactions for the country. And if next 6 months all the stakeholders, because with help of Central Board of Excise and Customs today, they have given the task that at least 1,000 AEO service providers should be registered in next 6 to 8 months. And the good part is that my friend Shankar has been one of the first custom broker in India to become a AEO. So legislations are in place. We should do the monitoring. Let's each one of us take the responsibility. Everything starts with us. Take the responsibility, elevate ourselves, our service providers whom we deal with, and yes, we will see better days and the bandwidth to handle the Make in India or whatever focus that this government has.
Just a comment before I return. Yesterday I was in Hyderabad and we were waiting for a meeting for two of the members of the insurance authority to join us. Okay. They both were coming by 2 separate cars from their main office to the place. And suddenly we received a call from one member saying that police had stopped his vehicle and therefore he is not able to reach. So can you contact the other member coming to pick me up. And so he gave a location. So we contacted the other member, and then he is standing there. His vehicle has been impounded by the police. Therefore, he came to pick him. When that person reached the place, that car was also impounded. We were absolutely at a loss to find out what is happening to both the cars, both their insurance authority. They are not supposed to. What has happened is they have taken and hired the contract taxi to come from that place to other office, and both the cars had some e-challan generated by the police unpaid. So happened the first car also had a challan unpaid, and the second car also had a challan unpaid, and both of these car numbers were caught on the camera, and from the camera the police knew that the challans were unpaid, and both the vehicles were important. So this is the power of electronic monitoring. So, what do you say?
I represent, I think I'm the only insurer in the entire field of So, you are well, GSC. I'm an insurer who's paying the claims. And, anything goes wrong in the ecosystem, any of the stakeholders done all of their roles and responsibilities properly, I am the guy who's paying the money out. And I've been working with Tata Energy now for about 3 years. I take care of a section called marine loss control. In last 3 years, I have been to manufacturing units, warehouses, transporters, and units. I have traveled on the road to understand how the things work in India, because I realized that the problem is not at this level. The problem is at grassroots level. It's at the level of drivers, at the level of warehouses. And before I move on anything, like Jesse in her presentation said that India, the tapas exposure in India is very low. I'll tell you why it is low. I'm a shippy. I've been shipping for 20 years. I've traveled the world. I've seen places that people only hear about it. We have met people. I've eaten with people. You only can imagine. So, I've had exposure at the ships. I've had exposures inland over here in India now. I've been a surveyor. The TAPA, TSR and FSR trainings also have attended. Since you are the board members here, let me put a suggestion to you. The TAPA, TSR and FSR will not apply in India, whatever you have. India is completely a different subtype than the rest of the world. Agree with me, please accept the fact.
Let me know more.
Yeah, marine loss control I'm a part of a 15 members team who are sitting worldwide. We have people in Brazil, we have people in Mexico, I have people sitting in US, I have people sitting in South Africa, I have people sitting in Ethiopia. So what I'm saying is not coming from 1%, it's coming from these 15 people. And they have come to India, and they have traveled to India. And they have, they have just traveled from the airport to their hotels, and probably that would be 3 to 4 kilometers or 5 kilometers. That is in the city. I'm not even taking them on the highways where the actual trucks are there. I'm not taking them to the because these people have realized that India is completely different. The way transport, the cargoes move in India.
Just a short response. Every situation in life is dynamic, it's not static. So perhaps that argument applies right now. However, it doesn't mean it's going to apply 10 years from now or 20 years from now. It's right now. And so we have to always look forward with a vision as to how to make a system better. We cannot accept that just because it's like that now, that we're just going to let it grow or not grow just like now. So I agree to what you're saying. I'm just laughing because I've heard that so many times in so many countries. Our system is different. Our ecosystem is different. That will not work here. You might have said 20 years ago, you're not going to be able to produce cars, as the BSI presenter said, like they do in the rest of the world. That's not India. They cannot do that. But yet nowadays, India manufactures world-class cars with world-class assembly processes.
So I agree with you that right now, which the insight it may be limited like that from visitors, but they're also visitors. They don't have your vision, what you've seen change over the years, and that's what